This is St. John chapter 15, verse 18. If the world hates you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ha Rakah, Kodash. And double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. And a mighty shalom to the hopeful elect in the same Spirit, bringing forth sound doctrine, Lord willing that they all can continue to endure and be sincere. And shalom to the Akwatiyam, believers of his faith and his truth, Lord willing that they continue to pursue their lot, which is being a loving, a silent, and virtuous wife. Lord willing to most have mercy on the other brothers and sisters that's not in the faith. Unwritten truths. Black America versus white America, but truly Black America versus all nations in America, our living is different. But truly, when you look at the statement of Black America versus white America, really the higher ups, starting with like middle class, even though it's no middle class, but the Edomites that's doing good for themselves, the Edomites that's doing well for themselves, the Edomites that's doing perfectly tremendous for themselves, they are living in a bliss. They're living a bliss life. They have their own community. You're looked different when you, especially like gated communities. But when you look at the lower individual Edomites, they're not even cared for. But you even have blacks that might get some money, but you're still looked at a certain way. You know, all Jake, in all aspects, you are looked a certain way. This world was not set up to love us, but truly, when we look at the elect, but when we look at the nation of Israel as a whole, this world was not made to love you. It wasn't made for the Black, Latinos, and natives. It was not set up to like us or to help us benefit on this side, right? Especially as a bulk. I want to get another one, which I'm always bringing out, which is in Judith, the 5th chapter, a beautiful read, kind of dealing with, I think, the people of Nineveh and Assyria, really about Nebuchadnezzar or Nebuchadnezzar and Holofernes, which Judith actually beheaded like later on in the book. But I want to actually get to a point where we can see that the nations understand if we're in sin, if we're in unrighteousness, we won't do well, right? Because the Lord don't deal with sin, right? So they try to promote sin, lewdness, immorality, covetousness, same sex, pride, proud spirits, lazy spirit, exalting spirit, astonishment spirit, a madness spirit, right? And this is all by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because he have given us to lawless people. The prayer of Azariah, right? There's only one chapter, I believe verse 8 or 9. The Lord have given us to lawless people and God forsaken people. But this is Judith, the 5th chapter. I'm going to start at 17. It says, while as they sinned not before their power, they prospered, because the Most High that hateth iniquity was with them, right? And this is a difference for the world that we in now. This whore sits on, what it sits on? Revelations, the 17th chapter, verse 1. This is how they're able to push this thought process on us, right? Starting with physical slavery. This Revelation 17:1, and there came out of the 7 angels which had the 7 veils, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. When you drop down to 15, the many waters are peoples, multitude, nations, and tongues. So really, America is the foundation or the capital of Esau's wickedness, right? Or pushing their law, pushing their philosophy, their wine, right? So back to Judith, the 5th chapter, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them, but when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were laid captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their power was cast into the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. And the number one thing, how do we turn from the Lord? Not believing in his son, right? Not doing the things that's pleasing unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And the new temple is the spiritual temple, which is the church, right? Really the elect, right? We're the temple, right? The dwelling is the elect, the teachings, the doctrines, the wisdom, the knowledge and understanding of the Lord, all because of Yahweh Shai came, right? Verse 19, it says, but now are they turned to their power and are come up from the places where they were scattered and have possessed Jerusalem where their sanctuary is and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against his people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. Let us go up, and we shall overcome them, right? And I think it's 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter. These nations are spittle. But Ezra was like, man, how did they become rulers over us if they're spittle, if they mean nothing? But it all goes back because we turn our backs unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. I believe Jeremiah speak about that in Jeremiah, the 32nd chapter, verse 33. We turn our back and not the face unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, you know? So when you go to verse 21, it says, but if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their power before them, and we become a reproach before all the world, right? And this is Akor advice to Holer Fernaz, not to meddle with the Jews, because if we don't sin, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai defends us. He's with us, and the nations become a reproach. This is back in history, but when we actually understand history merely repeats itself, all nations that touched us, if we come back to the Lord, the worst happens to the nations, right? Because truly, everything is to fulfill, what the Lord had planned for his story and for his people. Verse 22, it says, and when Akor had finished these sayings, all the people standing around about the tent murmured, and the chief men of Holer Fernaz and all that dwelt by the sea side and in Moab spake that he should kill him. For say they, we will not be afraid of the face of the children of Israel. For lo, it is a people that have no strength nor power for a strong battle. Why is that? Because Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai is not with us. Especially when we're filled with sin. The Lord is not dealing with us, right? And even though the elect is rising up now, you have 2/3, which is the bulk of Jake, that are committing sins just like the other nations, being a reflection of Esau. The Lord is dealing with the elect. But even on the other side, you have sin rising up to the heavens because Babylon promotes it, right? It says, now, therefore, Lord, Furnaz, we will go up, and they shall be a prey to be devoured of all thy army, right? And these nations that are regarded as spittle have gained power over us because we turned our backs unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. But through the Spirit, we tormented the nations, right? The two witnesses, the two prophets, the southern and northern kingdom, Judah, Ephraim. But now, after that quiet period of teaching, the 350 years and years even more, the Lord have allowed the knowledge, the books to be open, because the Lord told Daniel the books wouldn't open until the end. And even though, this truth only been here for 50 years, soon as the truth started to come out, that was the sign that we're in the end. We in 2025. We're still in the sign of the end, but it's even more clear now, let alone to fulfill certain prophecy that pertain to technology, that pertain to missiles, right? This end, they're creating those strong wind weapons, right? The weapons that are going to be a destroying wind, right? Jeremiah, the 51st chapter speaks on it. But the society that we live in is promoted by every church on the corner, a liquor store every corner, right? It's more liquor stores in the hood than you find. I know in Buffalo, you go to, or you got to go to a plaza, certain where, especially where Esau live. I think plazas or main market stores to buy liquor. But in the hood, it's every corner. Ain't nothing wrong with drinking, but those things destroyed a lot of the men and women where they become drunkards or they drink more than serving the Lord. Church on every corner where all the churches, of course, definitely don't agree, but outside of not agreeing, they all have the same agenda. They're all under that 503c3, 501c3, Lowell, and I said it right. And they're always constantly pushing false narratives of the word, right? And it's all either bringing attention for money, value, views, such and such and such. And it's all deception, right? The number one thing that's promoted in our community, even in the white community, is sports. Video games, right? A lot of things that make us feel comfortable and lazy. You know, this is just the same thing that they did in other captivities that we were in, right? Liquor, what is it? Groves, like where whores is at, strippers, right? To promote that for women being whores, right? Giving laws for LGBT community, things that pertain to unrighteousness, right? The society or the captivity that we're in is not our rest, right? This cannot be it, right? Let me get that in Micah 2:10, right? This cannot be it. Micah chapter 2 and verse 10, it says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with the sword destruction." Right? We depart spiritually and mentally, right? There's truth. We don't move or think the same that we do how we were in the world, right? This is polluted. As soon as you go outside, it's pollution in the air, with the cars, with the chemtrails, right? The factories, right? Chemtrails, right? They was doing the testing where brothers was talking about at camp where they were putting AIDS in the air. This place is polluted. Polluted, literally. Let alone it's polluted where they promote children trafficking in the United States, like one of the big money engines of this place, right? And hiding under a rug, right? It's pollutions on all different type of levels. You got pollutions when it comes to teaching, right? Wisdom of this world. They promote that more than they actually promote the truth because they want to keep Jake dumb. They want to keep you comfortable. They want you to smile and feel like everything is okay. The things that's going on overseas, right, in the East, in Israel and with Iran, a lot of Jake and a lot of people ain't speaking about it in America because ain't nothing going on. Ain't nobody getting touched. But then you got the ICE thing dealing with the Northern Kingdom getting removed out of the country. Right? America is not becoming great, it's becoming worse, but eventually to have a great end. Now it is really time to really open up our damn eyes and see that we're in a society that's made for us to fail, made for us to be under control, made for us to be in subjection or to be a subject to those that are in power. The main point of this lesson was to show that, the way that we live is not living. And even if you want to be comfortable, sometimes you might have to make money and then you got to be hand in hand with your enemy, with your adversary, right? But then if you don't have the wisdom, knowledge, understanding of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, anything that I'm saying or anything that brothers bring out on lessons, it's not going to mean anything to you. This won't look like a delusion or an illusion to Jake. This won't look like a setup. A lot of things that they show in the news are set up. It's a fake flag, all for something else. And this right here is the way how they afflict you without physically beating you with a whip. You are in slavery where, Jake is mostly raised in the hood, or mostly raised in a bad environment, or mostly raised where your environment not taken care of, because most Jake in the United States live where potholes, car getting fucked up all the time, trash everywhere, abandoned houses, drugs is everywhere, whore sluts, buckets everywhere. Jake mostly don't have jobs where they can relax and be comfortable. Most jobs you're gonna have to work 40 plus hours, and still, yes, you're paying your bills. You're scheduled 2 vacations. You're not. A lot of us don't have where we can take vacations wherever we want. Let alone most of us, Jake, that get money, you know, you be taking advantage, but don't know because you're getting money. You're able to do all the things that you want to do, but you don't see that you putting money over Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right? Jacob was a plain man, which plain goes into righteous. Let alone he was simple. He dwelled in a tent, but he had wealth, but he was a plain man. But Lord willing, to motivate you. Lord willing, you're able to see, even our children to see, this is not living. We're going to keep pushing. This is not living until that moment comes where we are living. So I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and a mighty shalom to the hopeful elect. In the same spirit and sound doctrine, shalom to Rakwathiam. Lord willing that you all continue to endure and be sincere. Shalom. Abba, Abba.